Hey, welcome to one of the fastest growing sports YouTube channels out there, Gold and Blue Dude. Yes, I'm doubling down. This is my second video of the day. And on this one, I want to talk about West Virginia will actually have choices in this round of conference realignment? Possibly. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Gold and Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. That is what I do. Don't forget to check out my good friends at TriStateWoodSketch.com. They do amazing work over there. All you have to do is send them the picture that you want transferred onto wood, and he'll get it done. And if you mention Gold and Blue Dude, he'll give you 20% off your order. I am all over Facebook. I am a member of a lot of Facebook groups, including some Big Ten groups. And I'm hearing some chatter that the Big Ten is interested in West Virginia. I already know West Virginia is in talks with the ACC. I'm not backing off from that. The ACC wants West Virginia, but apparently the Big Ten might want West Virginia as well. So West Virginia might actually have a choice this time. So I wanted to go through some pros and cons, both for the ACC and the Big Ten, as far as where West Virginia should choose if they do have that choice. Pros. First up, the ACC. Number one, they have built-in rivalries. That's a given. Everybody knows that. You have Pitt, Virginia Tech, Louisville, Miami, Boston College, and even Syracuse. Great built-in rivalries. That's a huge pro for the ACC. Now, for the Big Ten, in that category, their pro is decent geography. Next, West Virginia would be in a winnable division if they were to go into the Coastal Division. That's a big pro. That would definitely help West Virginia's brand. Now for the Big Ten, the biggest glaring one, more money. West Virginia would definitely make more money in the Big Ten. I'm not gonna go through all the economics. You guys can do your research on that one, but trust me, the Big Ten makes more money than the ACC. By a lot. For the ACC, West Virginia is a better cultural fit. The Appalachian culture. West Virginia would not stick out at all in the ACC. They would fit right in. For the Big Ten, I'm assuming they would go into the East Division, which means they would get to play Penn State every year. So they would get to reunite that rivalry. I think it would be a pretty good one. For the ACC, this is a personal pro. I could pretty much travel to almost every away game that West Virginia has because I live in the upstate of South Carolina. So that's a personal pro. For the Big Ten, an easier basketball schedule. Yes, I do think the ACC is a slightly better basketball conference than the Big Ten. So the Big Ten would be a more winnable conference in basketball. For the ACC, Bob Huggins would get to go head-to-head with Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim. 3 all-time greats going at it all the time. That would be awesome. For the Big Ten, West Virginia would be 100% safe from being left out in the future no matter what. That's a big pro. For the ACC, it would increase the value of the current recruiting grounds for West Virginia. For the Big Ten, I think it would actually expand the recruiting grounds for West Virginia. So, increase value or expand. That's a toss-up. For the ACC, West Virginia 100% does not need AAU accreditation. For the Big Ten, we could give Michigan some much-needed payback every single year for that Rich Rod fiasco. That's not a bad pro. For the ACC, right now the ACC is affiliated with Notre Dame. So, West Virginia could be brought in with Notre Dame, so that's another big brand that they could end up playing every single year. Not bad. And finally, for the Big Ten, the last pro, play in front of bigger crowds, more TV exposure, and I think it would make the brand more valuable. Now let's look at the cons. The ACC, the big one, not as much money. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the economics. You do the research. For the Big Ten, I'm assuming West Virginia would be in the East Division, so they would have to beat Ohio State to win that division. For the ACC, as a conference, it might not have as much longevity as the Big Ten. For the Big Ten, would have to play and travel to Big Ten West opponents every year. Not like we do in the Big 12 where it's like 4 or 5 away games. It'd be like 1 or 2. But still, that's a con. A con for the ACC. A chance of being placed in the Atlantic Division where they would have to play Clemson every single year. And right now, Clemson is just on a different level. Clemson definitely would get some payback on a yearly basis for that smackdown we gave them in Miami. A con for the Big Ten. West Virginia would continue to not play Pitt in the backyard brawl every year. A con for the ACC. The current TV deal lasts till 2036, so you better make sure you want to be in the ACC. For the Big Ten, one of their cons is they do prefer institutions with AAU accreditation, but Nebraska lost their AAU accreditation when they joined the Big Ten, so maybe they're willing to overlook that this time. The last con for the ACC, not as much TV exposure could potentially hurt the brand in the future. Something to think about. And then the last con for the Big Ten, having to go head-to-head with Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Iowa, and Wisconsin more often with recruiting. Could become a little bit more difficult to recruit against those guys. So there you go, the pros and the cons for both the ACC and the Big Ten. And as you can see, 8 pros for the ACC, 8 pros for the Big Ten. 5 cons for the ACC, 5 cons for the Big Ten. It would be pretty close, but the deciding factor might be the money. In that case, the check mark would go to the Big Ten. Now, I'm not even sure that the Big Ten is interested in West Virginia. I'm not sure that at all. I don't have any sources telling me that. I'm just going by what I'm seeing on Big Ten message boards. But I do know 100% that the ACC is interested in West Virginia, and they have been talking. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.